Welcome everyone to the PJ's Cast. I'm your host Pierce, alongside of my good pal Dylan, and happy Thanksgiving to all the Canadian viewers and listeners. Even though it's technically tomorrow, I think most Canadians do celebrate on the Sunday. Um, so we've got some NHL hockey that's been played. The Blackhawks have played 3 games. Unfortunately, haven't won any of them, and I just have to ask you, Dylan, how was going to that opening night game against the Panthers, even though they did lose 3-2?
It was a lot of fun. See them do the banner raising, see the Stanley Cup in the building. All that was really cool. Florida's done. I hadn't been to Florida's arena since 2021, so they've done a lot of different renovations in the concourses and just with like the stuff they offer. And I always am a firm believer that they space out their areas a lot better than Amalie in terms of like Tampa and Florida. I don't even think it's called Amalie anymore, but that's not the point. Um, so it's not as hectic when like intermission starts and I want to go get a beer or go get like chicken tenders or something. Like the line, I'm usually in and out in like 3, 4 minutes. I went and took a piss in intermission and I was back or during commercial and I got back before puck drop. Like it's a
Wow.
convenient arena to get around, which I don't think gets talked about enough when you talk about arenas. But the game itself was great. Crowd in Florida was pretty funny. Just listening to the different chants and stuff, watching the Panther walk around the arena and whatnot. And, the Hawks almost pulled it out. And, I saw Nazar score the first goal of the year. That was pretty cool. Called
Which you
that.
predicted, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
called that. And we'll get into him later. But, you know, a game that you could clearly see the jitters. I feel like, at least from my perspective. But one thing I noticed is Bedard is like, yeah, he's faster on TV, but in real life, it's insane. Like he's got the McKinnon twitchiness now in transition. At least when I watch him, or like the Kaprizov twitchiness, like that high end twitchiness you need with the puck to really just give defensemen headaches, which he did with Seth Jones on that chance. And
Yeah.
we'll get into it when we talk about the first 3 games, but it seems like the offseason adjustments he's made has helped pretty good. Shortening his stick is another one. It looks like that's helped on his one timer a good bit. Um, it's fun to see the growth of the players for sure. So it was good to see the first game. I'll be curious to see how they look when I see them on the 15th next month when they play the Leafs. See how much progress is made, maybe see if
Ah,
any prospects are
yes.
called up,
The
stuff of that
Leafs.
nature.
Yeah, so they have lost the first 3 games all by 1 goal.
Blow it up.
And
Oh, wait, it's
to
already blown up.
and I don't know if I can really complain that much other than maybe the like way too many penalties they took yesterday. They're clearly a feisty team and not wanting to take any shit, but at some point when you're playing in these close games against the Habs, like you can win the game. You can't be taking all these penalties. You can't be. I mean, I feel like we've gone over this discussion before. Not every big hit has to end with you fighting the player that hit your player. But I don't know. That's just me. I like the way they play. They've definitely showed some feistiness, but it's kind of that conversation we had last year when they would lose all these 1 goal games. And okay, at some point maybe, like, yeah, you can say you're in all these close games and eventually you'll break through, but then there's a point where, oh, you're just, this is what you are. You're not going to be able, like, your offense should be able to score an extra goal to win the games, and if you're a month in doing this that's just what you are at that point.
Yeah. 5-on-5, I think they've looked very good. Um, I'm gonna be honest, scratching Levchin off in the home game and then taking 13 penalties is a really bad look because you scratched him for taking 3 in 2 games. Um, I'd rather have the 19-year-old making mistakes than watch Sam Lafferty fucking trip over his head the entire game. Or watch, God bless Connor Murphy, but they need to get him off this hockey team. He does not have a place anymore. Um, this is a team that is extremely anemic on the power play. I actually like a lot what they're doing on the penalty kill. They're just taking too many fucking penalties.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't matter how good you are. Like the Habs are so fucking ass. I can't even begin to describe it. Like you had 10 power plays and you barely beat the Blackhawks. who are a two-line, or I won't even go as far as say two-line. They're like a three-player team, maybe four if you throw in Terravine in. The offense is going to come from one of four players, and you work down to the wire against them with 10 power plays. I'd fire your power play coach. Not even kidding. I don't know what the hell you all are doing on that power play. You have Demidov playing with plugs. Great job, guys. You guys are so good. Also, Demidov's a clown. Tried to fight Bertuzzi while he was in the middle of a fight. Like the Habs are just a total clown show. I can't even begin to describe it. But I think it means something that they're tied going into the third every game this year, including against Stanley Cup champions. I'd argue there's times in every game when they've looked like the better hockey team. I thought they were going to win in Boston. Korpisalo just stood on his head
Dude,
in
they
overtime.
should have. Come on, yeah.
Stood on his head in overtime. Not much you could do there. A lot of energy in the game last night. You know, the saltiness in me was talking just now about the Habs, but I mean, if you watch the game on the ice, Josh Anderson's trying to fight Connor Bedard. Like, I can't. It's like my number one pet peeve in the sport. Like watching Zadorov cross-check Nazar in the back. Like, just pick on someone your own size. You guys are such clowns. And then they turtle as soon as someone actually wants to fight them. It's hilarious. I think that's just such clown shit that this is what the league is. It's like, oh, I'll just fucking do all this nasty shit and I can't stick up for myself. You know, we had to listen to Tampa and Florida do it in the preseason and last season, but you know, that's just the sport. They need more muscle on this team. It's not even fucking funny. They have the edge, but they need more muscle. It's useful muscle, I might add. That doesn't mean go get Eric DeBranson in the offseason this year. It's, you know, it's nice to see the kids be the catalyst of the offense. I think Nazar's got 5 points in 3 games. That's extremely impressive. Bedard's 3 points in 3 games. Teravain's over a point a game. Renzel got his first goal. It was a beauty last night. We all knew that was coming. Amount of chances he gets. I thought Burakovsky's looked good after the first game. He's really settled in, I think, a good bit, especially now that Doc's on that line. But it can't just be those guys. It really just can't be them. So someone else is going to have to step up. You know, Bertuzzi's always a slow starter. He had a couple good chances last night. Dickinson's out, which sucks. I think Ryan Green stepped into that role relatively well. He doesn't look like it's over his head a good bit. So that's a good sign going forward, I think, as a guy who could be your bottom 6 center and kind of take that role once Dickinson maybe either gets traded or, you know, decides to go separate ways in the offseason.
Yeah, and like you said, with the toughness, this team does need it. And this team obviously, like we've been saying this for the last 2 years, needs so much more young talent. And it's 3 games into the season. They're not automatically going to get that. Like Anton Frundell is going to be like, oh, I'm coming over to the NHL now. No, it's probably, we're going to have to wait till next year. And hopefully maybe they can add a McKenna or a Stenberg into the lineup, and next year is hopefully when everything explodes. But yeah, the offense is mainly going through, like you said, the 3 young guys of Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, and Sam Renzel, and hopefully you get more contributions. Hopefully Lev Shunov starts getting to go offensively. Hopefully you get maybe a little, I mean, again, like you said, Tava's been fine, but hopefully you start getting a little bit more out of Bertuzzi and Burakovsky. But yeah, it's always going to be, like Miley Cyrus says, it's always going to be an uphill battle with this team. But like overall, you can't, and it's a small sample size, 3 games, but you can't say that they've truly been out in any of the games. They've always been in the games. Yeah, Florida was clearly. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just gonna say, it kind of reminds me of minus, you know, the 5-1 games they had against Tampa that year, but it reminds me of 2021. You know, they play competitive hockey. They're gonna find a way to win. I'd much rather them be doing this than what other teams in the league are doing right now, which is getting thumped 5-1, or the Sabres, who have 1 goal in 2 games. It could obviously be way worse, but you know, I think it's just the frustration of, in 2 of these games, you were extremely close. Florida, I think you were hanging on for dear life. You couldn't even get an outlet pass once the game ended. But I credit them for hanging in there, and I thought they looked good in the second period of that game. But Boston and Montreal, they were on the cusp. And, you know, with the way Boston looks this year, it looks like, you know, Swayman's back to form. And, I mean, Korpisalo fucking turned back to bubble form, for God's sake, when he played us. What the hell was that? Robbing Nazar, Renzel, Bedard, all of them. You know, I think the frustration just comes from seeing the progress, because I think this time a year ago they weren't doing this. They couldn't produce any offense, and it was just like we were going to put all of our chips on Bedard and he's got to get the offense for all 12 forwards. It's not the case like that anymore, but now it's only a couple people. And, Rinzel's playing more than Vlasic at the moment right now. Like they're putting a lot on that kid's shoulders. They're putting a lot on Nazar's shoulders on the penalty kill, especially since Dickinson's out. So, and Nazar's getting the shit kicked out of him too. That's not getting talked about enough. He's getting popped every time he's got that puck. So I'm interested to see how they hang up the whole year, but you can't even complain about the starts. They've been incredible for those young players.
Yeah, they've been entertaining to watch. They've been feisty, even though if they're kind of punching above their weight class, like you said with
Nah, Bedard's a little
Florida, they
shit.
were
He's getting an He's trying to
yeah,
fight Yoki hard.
he's like a pig in mud. It looks like he loves this. Um, and with Florida, yeah, they were hanging on for dear life, but Boston and Montreal, they were definitely in those games, and those teams are definitely closer to their competition. And I feel we've brought this up in the past. I don't feel the problem is them showing up against good teams like Florida. I feel like they often struggle against more middling teams, and I would put well, Boston maybe not so much middling, but with the start they could be more closer to a middling team than a bad team. But I would like call Montreal like middle of the pack team. It always feels like they play up to their competition and then they'll play down to their competition that's actually closer to them. So yeah, I again, hopefully in theory, the more games, one goal games you're in, the more close games you're in, hopefully you're gonna win those games. But then again, you need the extra goal, you need the extra offense to break through in those games. And I'm just we need some people to step up and start going there, but also it's only 3 games. It's overreaction season right now.
Oh, 100%. But at the same time, you just go off of the stuff and the years of stuff about these players with some of it. And I don't think it's a reoccurring theme that the people taking the penalties outside of Levshunov are a lot of the people who, let's be honest, probably aren't on this team in 18 months.
No.
So, seeing that coupled with the success that the youth's having, it's going to lead to impatience at times. I mean, obviously, but there's, like you said, there's not much we can do. Like, unless another major injury happens, they're not calling up more artists, most likely. So, and the rate it's going in Rockford, Aiden Thompson probably will get a call before that. He's had a good start down there, looks like, and Sam Savoy is probably going to get a call up at some point, get a look. I think of like a Colton Docker or if Nick Foligno gets hurt, we're going to see a lot of different youth on this team. So, buckle up. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride. I would just like the mistakes to be made more by the young guys than the people who have been in the league 7, 8, 10 years. Just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. More youth. Goaltending has been good too. You definitely
Spencer Knight's
can't
been amazing.
can't place the blame on them. And I kind of want to go further into Artem Levshunov being scratched. I don't know if you have any further thoughts on that, but I don't mind him being scratched. Like he's not going to play. Like I think all these guys, except for maybe Bedard and Nazar and Rinzel, like I think those are the 3 guys that are probably going to be playing every game. Every other prospect, I don't think they're going to be playing every game. Like they might sit out a few games, and I'm fine with that with Lev Shunov, but he's 19. He's got to learn these kind of things. Like when he took that penalty, he was kind of looking up at the scoreboard in Boston. Like that's obviously something that can happen. But then, like you said, when you have veterans taking penalties, so many penalties, it's like, okay, what are we doing? That's such a bad look. So I don't think that's just exclusively an Artem Levshunov problem. Like that's a team wide problem. So um yeah, I don't know if you have any further thoughts on the Blackhawks start, or we can move on talking about some other hockey because there's some other stuff I want to talk about too.
Yeah, we can go on.
Okay, because I want to talk about the San Jose Sharks and how they've basically blown 2 games already. One against the Vegas Golden Knights, which they absolutely should have won. I think it was less than like a minute and a half left, open net, gimme like Patrick Stefan levels of it, and the Sharks somehow couldn't score. Vegas comes back the other way. I think it was Jack Eichel. It was like I don't even know how this shot went, and I can't remember if it's like bounced off the boards or something. Just a crazy goal. It's like we could have won this game 4-2, and instead it's 3-3, and now we're going in overtime. And then in overtime, Alex Nedeljkovic again, I don't know what he's doing, out of the net to play the puck, completely misses it, and Riley Smith just has an easy tap in. And then I think they were up 6-4 against Anaheim, and then lost that game 7-6 in overtime. So it's it's not only the Blackhawks that are getting off to a rough start right now. There's a couple other teams that are kind of fighting it, and it is early season hockey. But man, if the Blackhawks blew leads like that, I would feel more disappointed than what they're doing now.
Yeah, like it's what I said earlier. I can name a half dozen teams that probably have a worse start than the Hawks right now, and San Jose is definitely one of them. I don't even think I like someone was like screenshot of the year, and it's night two, and it's Nedeljkovic at the blue line in overtime. Like I listen. The troll in me is saying blatant taking. Okay, like this is ridiculous, but oh my god, the way they constructed this roster, I don't understand. Like I was watching the Anaheim game last night. Their defensive structure is abysmal. Like I'd argue it's Jeremy Colleton when he just got to the Blackhawks. Like that first
Ooh.
2 months where they just couldn't stop anything.
Ooh.
Like
No defense, yeah.
I caught this third period on. First of all, if you have a remote amount of speed, you're going to blow by the entire defense. Cutter Gauthier was having his way with the whole team last night. Same with Leo Carlson, Chris Kreider as well. And on top of that, I saw at least a dozen breakaways. I thought I was watching an EASHL game. I was like, holy crap. I feel like what's the thing where it's like you feel I don't even know the term. I can't even think of it. But you see yourself on TV. It's like, oh my God, there's my usual team just making terrible mistakes, and there's a breakaway. Oh, don't worry, they scored on a 5-on-3 though, and then they've got another goal because also, I'll say something good about the Sharks. I love that pickup of Adam Gaudette. I did not know they got Adam Gaudette in the offseason. That's a good pickup. Guy had 19 goals last year. Has a heck of a shot. Star Wars sleeve tattoo. Gotta love that guy. But mind-numbing mistakes on defense. And on top of that, Michael Mesa has been scratched the first 2 games of the season. This is the number one thing I was worried about with this player. Because at least with the Blackhawks, he would have played every game this year. Kyle Davidson would have made it an insurement that he's on Bedard or Nazar's wing, or he's playing 3C.
There's our top 6 forward edition. Yeah.
Exactly. And the Sharks are like, you know what? We kind of need to play Philip Kurashev on the top 6. We kind of need to play Ty Dellandrea. Don't pull a Shane Wright with this kid. This kid at one point was looked at as the top prospect in that draft class. You have a gift wrapped in your hands, and you told this kid to not go to BU because he had a chance in the NHL, and this is what we're doing. Because I don't think can they send him to the AHL? I don't think they can. I think in this case he would have to go back to Saginaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation. You got to play the kid. I think Dickinson played last night, so they got one of them
after
playing.
Being scratched the first game, yeah.
But yeah, you got to play the kids. But no, we got to play Jeff Skinner.
Yeah, either way, it's not a great look, especially when your owner is doing an interview and said that both of them should be playing. So, yeah, those Sharks are, despite that, like I look at their forward core, they're going to score goals. I mean, yeah, they would rather prove that Celebrini is better by putting Philip Kurashev on the first line with him and Will Smith, sure, whatever.
Let's see if we can get him 60.
Yeah. Second line, Eklund, Wenberg, Toffoli. Third line, Skinner, Dellandrea, Graf. And then fourth line, I like this fourth line, honestly. Barclay Goodrow, Adam Gaudin, Ryan Reeves, who blew past the Anaheim defense and scored yesterday. I'm sure Joel Quenneville was loving that.
Oh, Joe Quenneville had to have been having an aneurysm on the sideline watching this game. Like, oh my God, we're on the bench. Jeez.
But then you look at the defense. Like, I feel like, unlike the Blackhawks, I think the Sharks are going to score a lot more goals, but also they do not have the defense that the Blackhawks have. Their first pairing is Nick Leddy and John Klingberg in our Lord year of 2025. Then you got Mario Ferraro with Timothy Liljegren, and then Dmitry Orlov and Sam Dickinson. That really should be your first pairing or whatever. And then yeah, Nedeljkovic had a horrible game, and I don't know if Askarov was playing that game last night, but yeah.
He was. It was
Oh, he was
Askarov
okay.
last night. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Askarov versus Peter Mrazek, so that should tell you why it was
Yeah,
7-6.
that's
But
right.
yeah, obviously the Sharks are in the same spot as the Blackhawks. They got a long way to go, and I'd be a little frustrated that I'm not watching the kids be the ones making the plays, and their roster spots are being occupied by John Klingbergs and Ty Dellandreas. Just don't think that's what. Clearly, it's not what the owner wants to see, but
No,
we will see how that develops as the season goes. I mean, obviously, I think they played 2 games so far, so maybe they'll get a
they're
little bit
0
more
and
structure.
2.
Yep. So get a little bit more structure. But I go back to my prediction. I think their coach, he might be the first one to go just because the owner's going to get sick of them benching the kids. So it's definitely one to watch as the months go on with the season.
Are there any other teams that have kind of stood out to you in the first few games? The team I want to talk about, the Detroit Red Wings, man. Again, it's only a few games, but John Gibson, I think, let in, it was 5 goals on 13 shots, something like that. And then Todd McClellan, first game of the season's like, I'm so frustrated with these guys. Like, this should not be happening a game into the season. And Detroit has Steve Yzerman has already made multiple head coach firings. I don't think he's going to fire Todd McClellan, but and then if your team gets off to a bad start, what are you going to do now? Like, what moves are you going to make? Another year of mediocrity for the Detroit Red Wings. They are a very intriguing team to me.
Well, yeah, they just beat the Leafs 6-3 last night. So
There you
um,
go.
good bounce
That's
back.
right.
Kane
That's
had
right.
3 points. I think Emmett Finney got his first NHL point, so that's pretty cool. Raymond had a couple goals. Like, this is how they're going to have to play. Their back end is rough outside of the Edmondson
It
Sandy
is.
Pellica pairing. They still have Sider playing with a sieve, going on 5 years of that now. And their third pair is atrocious. So, yeah, Travis Hamonic still getting NHL minutes for some reason.
Oof. Yeah.
Beats me. Beats me. Um, and they're they have this youth getting interjected in their lineup. I like Casper a lot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they just need more
Brenton
people to take
Nygaard.
steps. It
Yeah.
can't just be you can't rely on 37-year-old Patrick Kane. He should be a secondary player on your team. It needs to be more than just Larkin and Raymond. So we'll see who could take that step for them. And obviously
Yeah. I don't know
DeBrincat
why.
too. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why in my mind I'm like, did they lose last night against the Leafs? No, they beat the Leafs. So there you go. That's a
pretty
good way
handedly
to.
too, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So that's a good way to put that loss in Montreal behind you. It's like a rock paper scissors thing where Toronto beat Montreal, Montreal beats Detroit, but then Detroit beats Toronto. So there you go. So let's get on to some contract extension. Unless you have like some other teams that have kind of intrigued you in the first few games of the season.
Um, I think obviously Vegas is pretty intriguing just because
Pavel Dorofeyev, 5 power play goals,
5
I think.
goals. Eagles had a great start, but they're not really playing great team defense.
Nope,
We talked about
nope.
it a lot. The loss of Petrangelo it's gonna take some time to adjust to that on the back end, I think. And it's gonna require the forwards to play a little more back, I think, and that really doesn't fit what Vegas likes to do. They have great two-way forwards. It's very possible. Mark Stone, Mitch Marner, Leo Carlson, Jack Eichel, or not Leo Carlson, William Carlson.
Mm-hmm.
So they can definitely do it. It's just watching that team kind of gel first couple months will be interesting. I think Vancouver, that's a Demko. Looks like he's back to form from what I saw last night against the Oilers. He was the only one keeping him in that game last night.
Yeah.
Calgary, Matt Bay Green made it out of camp, which I thought was very interesting. Ryan Leonard or Matthew Schaefer, bro, looks incredible with
First
the
NHL goal last
Islanders.
night.
Yeah, he looks like the real deal. I was worried about the lack of games he played, but I mean, they're sheltering him on that third pair, but on the power play, he's looking really special. And You know, that's the kind of player that can really change a back end with that high end talent. You know, the Kale McCarr comparisons might have there definitely was something there. I think. You know, just kind of watching him play actual NHL games, and then obviously Pittsburgh just what are they 2-1 to start? Like let Pittsburgh have their 2022-2023 Blackhawks start. Let them have their fun. November will hit them like a freight train.
Yeah, and Justin Brazeau is their superstar. 3 goals in 3 games. Let's go. Get excited.
Him and Blake Lizotte.
But further to your point with Matthew Schaefer, um, he's set up pretty well, especially with how good the Islanders' defense is. Even with them trading Dobson, LOL, first pairing Romanov and D'Angelo, they still have Pelican, Pulak, and then you have Schaefer playing third pairing minutes with Scott Mayfield, and then first power play unit Matthew Schaefer with Barzell, Duclair, Horvat, and Palmieri. So yeah, he's definitely going to get some time to do some offense or to create some offense from the Islanders. Do we want to get onto the extensions that happened or the extension that happened and how we
Can I start with this?
Yeah,
You
go for
you
it.
can't deny it's a jinx now because we've done it for 4 fucking contracts. So who needs it? All right, well, let's talk about Adrian Kempe. Make sure he gets fucking signed by Wednesday. Like, dude, like I'm never talking about free agency before June ever again. It's never
Never,
worth it.
dude. It's got not even June.
Betting
It's gotta be July. It's gotta be July 1st.
betting my life savings, betting my life insurance, betting my kids' college fund. I'm betting everything I own on nothing. Always, ever in this stupid fucking league. Holy shit. And I'm not mad at the players. The players got amazing deals for what they're worth. I think it's amazing that Kyle Connor got 12 a year, right? Like that's incredible. Eichel, we
Good
all
for
knew he was
Winnipeg
going to take
too.
it. Yep. Eichel gets his 8-year deal. I mean, we all kind of knew that was going to happen even before they got Marner. That was a rumor that they kind of have the extension mapped out. And what does he do? He gets 4 points in his first game. So good to see
Oh, and a hat
that.
trick for KFC.
KFC. Kyle fucking Connor. Let's go. But yeah, I took in his first game with the new contract. Both of these guys I expect to play big roles in the Team USA team in February. Gotta love it. All these players are getting contracts worth their money except McDavid, and McDavid's doing it for a different reason than the rest of them. So
Yeah.
the more days go by, the more I question what Minnesota had to do because I get you have to overpay a player to get him to stick around, but it's looking like a very big overpay now. Maybe the market shifts differently. I don't know, but clearly every other GM got spooked after that one. What's the closest still? Drysdale, right? With like 14
Yeah.
something.
14
So
mil, but he's still underpaid.
I'm very interested to see. It's probably McCarr's the next one that's going to get in that range, if I
Mm,
had to guess. Because Pasternak's locked up, Kucherov's locked up, or for at least like 2 or 3 more
for another
years.
couple of years, yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's coming up, but like he's probably going to get like a $3 million raise, which is a lot, but it's Tampa and they have no state income tax, so 12 mil is 14 mil in other states, just like the Rantanen contract. That's why I think the Connor contract's kind of good for both sides. He had an argument probably to get 13 or be the highest paid winger in the league just off his importance to
Mm-hmm.
that team. But I think it's rather team friendly because if he went to free agency, he definitely could have got 13, 14 mil easily, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure Connor and Kaprizov are the same age. I could argue, like, if I were Kyle Connor's agent, I would have argued at least, like, hey, we should be getting close to Kirill Kaprizov money because I think I don't know if he's had the same amount of 100-point seasons. I don't even think he's had a 100-point season, but like he's flirted with it. He's flirted with almost 50 goals, so maybe not quite 17 million, but there
He's
could have
going to
been a
get 50
case
and
where,
50 at some point. He's been sniffing it. He's been
mm-hmm,
45-45 pretty consistently.
mm-hmm. Like he very much could have been, hey, maybe not quite Kirill Kaprizov, but hey, it's Winnipeg. Like, give me $15 million per year. But the thing with Winnipeg is they've done a good job of locking in their core members that they've drafted. Again, it's just a matter of whether the players they trade for sign a free or if they can even get any free agents at all. So yeah, always bravo to the Winnipeg management when they can keep their guys, because I feel I think that's a good contract for both sides, like 12 million per year, pretty good. But again, I think Kyle Connor probably could have gotten more, especially with Kirill Kaprizov, and then yeah, Bill Guerin watching one winger in his own division who I think is kind of close to the level of Kirill Kaprizov get like $5 million less. That must burn. And Jack Eichel, that's just another thing, like a center, and he's what was it, 13.5, and that's $3.5 million less. Yeah, I wonder what he's thinking right now. And like Steve Dangle said, I wonder how many pieces his television set is in right now.
I mean, you still got your best player, and he's on a 3-point
Yeah.
pace to start the year. So I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
mad Bill Guerin is right now, but
No.
it's one to watch the next 2 years, because if there's not a contract that sniffs 17 mil in the next 2 years, uh, okay, well now, and we talked about it beforehand with this player. He is prone to injury, so if you're paying 17 mil a year to a guy who's playing 60, 70 games, yeah, that's still a good amount of games. God, I would not be happy if my $17 million a year player missed 15 games a year potentially. And now that I say that, he's probably going to play a full 82 this year, which will be great for the league because he'll be
You're so well,
electric.
Minnesota Wild, by the way.
Yeah, him and Boldy are already going berserk, but it's just very interesting. Um, and the younger contracts are the ones that are getting that higher cap. The veterans are kind of sticking to where most of the deals have been signed. I feel like, even with all this market movement, Kyle Connor signed exactly at what Marner and Rantanen signed at. Like, I think that's the standard for an elite winger right now, and for an elite center, it's right in between what Eichel and Draisaitl and Matthews are making. It's at 13, 14 mil,
Mm,
at least until further notice. And like I said, I don't think that's going to change till Cale Makar's contract comes up and Quinn Hughes' contract comes up, which I think is at the same time, or maybe they're a year off. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure. I think McCarr's a couple years. I think Hughes is yeah, they might be at the same time. I'm gonna look that up.
And I'll say it again. I'm very curious to see if Marty Necas decides to go to free agency. You get a player like that with the money going around, he might be the guy that makes the market really shift. Because obviously, free agency, you always got to overpay. So
Hmm.
I'm very curious.
So yeah, Kale McCarr is up in 2027, and as for Quinn Hughes, he is also up in 2027. So there you go. That'll be fun to
The
watch.
new best off season ever. Start
So
saving money now, folks.
I think Kale McCarr gets done with Colorado, but I think he does reset it. Like I think we could be upper like close to 20 mil, not 20 mil, but definitely like I could see McCarr getting like 16, 17, $18 million, if not closer to 20 mil. Quinn
Yeah,
Hughes will be the interesting one because if I had to pick one of them to go to free agency or potentially be even moved on from, like if Vancouver has another bad year or another middling year, I wonder if maybe there's a trade to be had. Maybe to New Jersey. I don't know, but we'll have to see how the season unfolds and into next year for those two.
definitely.
And kind of going back to what you said, I feel like all these guys just want to stay there and win with their teams. Now, whether they'll win a Stanley Cup is another matter, but I feel there was so much talk of, oh, with the cap going up, players are going to start taking short-term contracts and hitting the market, and that's simply, as we've seen in these past few days, even that doesn't seem like it's going to be a thing for a while. Maybe the younger players, like maybe this new generation, maybe it is Connor Bedard or Macklin Celebrini that sets the market for taking short-term contracts and then hitting the market and getting as much money as they can. But I feel like it isn't just gonna just like change in the snap of a finger. I feel like teams aren't just or players aren't just gonna go to NBA contracts just like that. Like I think it's gonna take years and years before we maybe even see that.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. It's a sport that's built off of comfort, I feel like. And
Mm-hmm.
most players get pretty comfy where they are, and they start having families, they start settling down, and that that kind of adds into that a good bit. Um, you know, that's usually why players end up moving in the first place. If they are going to move, it's usually family oriented. I always think of Jacob Truba. He moved because of his wife. You looked at Duncan Keith, he moved because of his wife. You looked at, family matters in these equations, and you don't want to uproot a family just because you could make a couple of mil more in a different city. It has to make sense for both or the player more than it does the team, I argue, at times. Because on paper, every signing could make sense for a team. Oh, Connor McDavid makes sense for my hockey team. I bet he does. He makes sense for all 32 hockey teams. Thing is, he gets to choose where he wants to be. And right now, it looks like it's Edmonton.
Yeah, it's comfort, if not like borderline Stockholm syndrome, especially in the case of like a Connor McDavid, where they're so infuriatingly close, but they haven't been able to get to the cup. Whereas I look at someone like Jack Eichel, you already got your cup. You moved from, I mean, with all due respect to Buffalo, you moved from Buffalo to Vegas, and then you get $108 million on top of that for a team that looks to contend for another few years.
Right. And they're set up very well with their cap situation going forward as well.
Yeah, those teams that were able to lock in all their star players like right around COVID when cap wasn't going up and stink flat, they're set up. Like Florida, it's crazy some of those contracts they were to lock in. And again, state tax, all that stuff. Vegas, I believe, is another place that has state tax, so that does help. But yeah, they're going to be set up. And I even look at the Blackhawks. I think I'm not worried about the contracts so much. I'm just more concerned, how are you going to fill this team around Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar? How are you going to make the transition from being this horrible team to a good team a lot more smoother than it has been right now? Because man, Alex Vlasic at $4.6 million. That just seems to be getting better day by day. And I feel I've brought this up every other podcast. And same with that Frank Nazar extension. And if he keeps this up, he might be going to Italy for the Olympics, I think. Or at least have a good
100%.
chance.
100%. He's showing his versatility. It's not just scoring points. He plays a strong two-way game. He brings a speed factor that not a lot of players can bring. Tenacious on the puck, not afraid to go to the net. Alex Vlasic plays a very good shutdown role. His reach is just so apparent when he's on the ice. That six
Got that
six, that long
wingspan.
stick. He's very
Yeah.
smart with where he positions himself on the ice. You rarely see him get beat. Um, it's two players that are making less than what Kyle Connor's making right now. I'm not making that as a direct comparison, but it's just to show
Yeah.
you're going to have room to make a big splash. Like you're always going to have room with the way this team works. Hell, you're going to have fucking 10 mil in dead cap get off the books this year. Like I don't want to hear money ever as an issue. I just
It
don't.
shouldn't be. And if there is something terrible has gone wrong.
Who's fucking gambling in the back until we don't have money? Jesus. Stop betting on the Hawks.
Yeah, Connor Bedard, I still say 98 million over 8. Let's get it done. Sam Renzel, man, if they get a chance to extend him, I think they should do it right away. I think next year we won't be able to do the 8-year contracts, but 7 years, absolutely.
Agreed. I think he'll get done just like Nazar's did some point in the
Mm-hmm.
offseason. Especially if he keeps playing as many big minutes as he's playing. Like I said, he's playing more minutes than Vlasic right now, which is, I think we both maybe would have expected that, but out the gate, I didn't expect that. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
firmly playing 23, 24 minutes a night and playing pretty well in those minutes, I'd say. He's already stopped like 2 goals off the goal line this year, so there's one. But his transition play, he knows when to activate in the offensive zone. His shot is very apparent, I feel like. He just needs to get a little like the film is showing he needs to get a little quicker being the quarterback on the power play because they're rushing him at the point of a very good bit on the power play right now. So that has to get
Mm-hmm.
adjusted a little bit. But game 3, give him time. For game 3, he's got a goal. He's playing 23 minutes a night. Can't complain. And I, like you
He's,
said, I would extend him. And I think if you can get that deal done before the McCarr deal, that could benefit you a good bit. That could benefit you a good bit.
mm-hmm. 21 years of age as well. Can't forget that. Like it really is crazy meteoric rise he's had, because when he got drafted, it was like, if he was on the trajectory that we thought he was when he was drafted, he'd still be in college right now. And we're like, I think this year maybe we would be like, okay, Sam Renzel comes after this year, and we'll sign with the Blackhawks this year, and then we'll see what happens. And it's the 9 games he played last year. Immediately, everyone was like, "Oh, he's the top prospect in the system." Like alongside like not Bedard Nazar level, but like he's the top prospect of guys like Lev Shunov, and now you add Frundell into the mix. And yeah, no, he's coming in the season. He hasn't slowed down, getting all the minutes. He's getting all the power play one time, and yeah, he's shaping up to be. Man, he really has all the tools to be a legitimate number one defenseman, to like be their Duncan Keith, I guess, for this generation.
100%. Especially just with his confidence with the puck, his confidence on the ice. He's not afraid to, go to the dirty areas, maybe throw a check in the corner if needed. He's just a smart hockey player, and you need more of them. And like we said, he's one of the 4 catalysts of offense on this team. So,
Especially on the defense.
yeah, he's the biggest catalyst on that defense. So he's going to get his cookie, he's going to get his time, and he'll get paid handsomely for it as well.
What would that contract look like? I don't know if it's $10 million, but man, if I have a good year, I would definitely be asking for $10 million if I were Sam Renzel. But I would think maybe $8 or $9 million would get it done.
Yeah, I'm thinking 9 times 7.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Maybe a little. It just depends on the point totals. Like if he puts up 50 points, you chalk up 10. But
Yeah.
I think 9 times 7. And then you look at that deal in 3 years and go, holy smokes, we have Sam Renzel at $9 million. And if you want to do the math, we'll just throw the extra 2.5 that we have for Seth Jones still. So he's technically an $11.5 million defenseman.
There you go. Anywho, you know what? While we're on the topic of future Blackhawks, I kind of want to go through some prospect updates. I didn't write down every prospect. I just wrote down the notable ones. So Anton Frundell in 10 games so far in Sweden has 6 goals and 2 assists. I think we brought up last podcast. He had the Michigan goal. I think that game he had 2 goals, and then he's like, it's not good enough, and then went on and scored a hat trick the next game.
Yeah, he's playing incredible in Sweden right now. Makes me so excited for when he finally comes over to the States and we get to see him in this lineup because God, we were talking about it last night. You slot him in that top 6, it makes that top 6 look completely different. It just does.
We've seen everything slowly get together because, first off, it was just Bedard. And then now you got a center behind Connor Bedard, so you got that filled. And then you got 2 defensemen, like Vlasic, not so much maybe for on the offensive side, still a good 2-way defenseman. Then you add Renzel into the mix. Now you just need to start adding young wingers, injecting youth into this lineup. And I think I said this off the top of the show, insert Frundell next year, and then if they somehow get a Gavin McKenna or even a Stenberg, and then one of Kanserov or Lardis can be a top 9 forward, that's what this team exactly needs for next year.
100%. And that's all you can hope for, really, is that some of these kids work out. I really think Kanserov day by day is looking like a real player. If you want to hear Lardis can be a top 9 fit, that'd be amazing. Boyver got banged up, which is unfortunate, but he was playing top line center at BU. So that's another one to keep a close eye on. But I mean, just adding Frundell and whoever they pick this year into the lineup is going to make such a difference. And next year it'll be Frundell and one of Kanserov or Lardis most likely, and then more will be inserted in your bottom 6 to take probably the Mikheyev role, which I'm very okay with. And then you get guys like Slager, you get guys like, Van Acker coming up in the system eventually. He's had a great start to the year as well. They got a lot of kids. We'll see how many of them work out.
Yeah, and on that topic, Roman Kanserov, 15 games played in the KHL as a 21-year-old. I think he just turned 21. 15 games played, 9 goals, and 5 assists. Playing first-line center for Metallurg Magnitogorsk and is wearing an A for them. That's so, And they don't do that in the KHL. It's such like, it's not a developmental league. It is very much we are trying to win Garden Cup league. So the fact that a 21-year-old is switched from wing to center and is almost point per game and is wearing an A for your team at 21 years old, I think that speaks a lot to him. And we've talked about a lot for a while. Nick Lardis being the most like intriguing prospect. Man, I would put Cancer off at the top of the list now because he's doing it in the second hardest league, hockey league in the world. I'd be very interested to see how that can translate over to North America. There's been so many good Russian players. I don't know if he's Kirill Kaprizov level, but I just think of more like maybe a Pavel Buchnevich, or I'm just looking at what Pavel Dorofeyev is doing in Vegas right now. If he can be that kind of level and impact player, that'd be great.
Yeah, 100%. You really hope he develops into something big. Um, middle six forward that can score some goals. Obviously that's not the case. He's clearly our Nikita Kucherov, but that's not the point.
Yeah. No, Pavel Datsyuk, since he's playing center now. If he was a
Oh
winger, he would
yeah,
have
my
been
bad.
Kucherov.
Sorry. We'll make sure he wears 13 when he gets to Chicago.
Yeah, you
Oh
see
my
it.
God. Yeah, but he's not going to sign with the Hawks because Donato's got his number. Sorry, guys.
No, shucks. We'll get him again.
But yeah, I don't know when we'll see Cancer off over. I don't know if it's this year or next year, or they give him a year in Rockford. It really depends. But just thinking of the way some of these high-end Russian players have translated over after playing with men for a couple years, I think it'd be a pretty swift transition for Cancerov to come over. And the style of play he plays, you throw him with a Nazar or Bedard, they're going to get a lot of dirty chances because like he and Bedard and Nazar are not afraid to go to the net whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which Cancerov net front presence on the power play, it's going to go crazy.
Do you need that when your team is full of guys, mostly the forwards who are under 6 feet tall, and you do have some bigger bodies coming on the way? Um, Speaking of which, Vaclav Nestrassel, 3 games played, 4 goals in those games, including a hat trick, I think, last night. So there you go. There's a good start. He still probably needs another couple years in college, but that's an encouraging start. Merrick
That's a guy
Vanacker.
who's going to be with Bedard like year 6, and it's going to be gross. Gonna be like, oh no, we need someone to play with Bedard because we got to get rid of someone because you couldn't afford him. Oh well, here comes this 6'6" demon, or
Here
freaking
comes our Czech Tage Thompson, baby.
Jeez Louise! Oh my god.
Merrick Vanacker in 5 OHL games has 5 goals and 2 assists. And then Nathan Bem in 6 games played has 5 goals and 3 assists. So those were the ones I kind of prospects that were kind of at the top of my head that I looked at the stats for. There's probably a bunch of other ones that I'm missing, but those were the notable ones and ones I thought about.
Yeah, those are not, I think you covered a good ground of all of the prospects. I mean, it'll be interesting to watch Korchinski this year in the AHL too, because I predict they're going to trade him for a forward, but this is the make or break year for his development, especially in a system that's pretty heavy on the back end. Where there's a lot of guys in the same spot, so he needs to separate himself because this team could very much use another offensive defenseman if he could just put it all together.
Yeah, they're gonna have to trade one of those defensemen. It's gonna get to be to a point where they might all be NHL ready, and there's not enough room, and there's a log jam, and hopefully, a team that is starving for young defensemen, because notably NHL teams don't want young defensemen. So, hopefully, there might be one taker out there that will trade even just a young forward for a young defenseman. And Lucas Reichel has not played at all. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
He played last night.
Oh, he played last night. Okay, I can't keep track of this stuff clearly.
Yeah, he played last night. He didn't do anything because every time he was on the ice, Sam Lafferty was taking a fucking penalty. But that's okay.
That's what I mean. I just like when he does play, he's unnoticeable. So I don't know what's gonna happen there. But meh. NFL fans, what's your favorite touchdown? For me, it's the next one. Because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From first touchdown score to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. Next Monday, on the 13th, the Chicago Bears take on the Washington Commanders. It features a money line of plus 190 odds for the Chicago Bears and minus 230 odds for the Washington Commanders. Lines and odds are subject to change. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. If I had needed this product, it's what I'd use. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Let's talk about the Edmonton Oilers, who took care of some more business. They got busy week for the bald guy, signing McDavid and then signing Wallman, and then now Jack Roslovic finally signs with an NHL team, and then they extend Matthias Ekholm for another 3 years. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Those are my thoughts. It's not what, I don't, until they get one of the two things they need, I really don't care what Edmonton does. And one of them is still a fucking goalie. So, cool. Ekholm's going to stick around for the last 3 years of his career. I just, fingers crossed, he doesn't take a huge injury, because that's, he's been banged up the last couple of years. And when he's out, last year he was out, they managed pretty well in the playoffs, but it's the guy you want on your left side. And, left side's locked up now. It's Wallman, Ekholm, and Kulak, right? Or is Kulak a free agent? I don't know.
Nurse. Kulak is a UFA. Yeah, I know.
This is why I don't get excited about the Oilers when we talk about their moves, because it's like, oh yeah, look at this nice meal. Oh god, there's a big pile of shit right next to it. Oh, look at this great fucking game. Oh wait, there's a big scratch on the disc, so we can't play it. Fuck, hate this.
Oh, I got an Xbox. Nurse. Got an Xbox. Red Ring of Death. No.
Yeah, the Red Ring of Death. Stuart Skinner.
Stuart Skinner. Yeah.
Ugh. Get a real forward, get a real goalie, and maybe I'll care. I can't see this team winning. It's like, yeah, McDavid might go berserk and drag him to a cup single-handedly, but God, wouldn't it be better if he just didn't have to do that? Wouldn't that be so nice? If it could just be like what the Avs did a couple years ago and they just steamroll everyone because they have so much depth. They should trade
have 3 first lines like the Florida Panthers. What did you just say? Nazem Kadri to the Oilers? That is awesome. They should totally
You want to talk about giving your team an edge? For the 5 games he's playing in the playoffs, he'd be so good. I'm just saying, they need to do something.
Unfortunately, that would never happen because Calgary would never trade that. Because they tried to trade for Chris Tanev. I can't remember if it was I think it was the year before in 2024. And they gave a first-round pick, and Calgary's like, no, we don't want to trade him to you. We're going to trade him to Dallas and get a second-round pick instead. But, man, there's a couple of guys. Like, Kadri, I'm looking at Calgary right now. Blake Coleman, I think, would be another great fit for them. Yeah. If they can swing their cap is crazy right now, but if they can swing another move for a top 6 forward or even just a middle 6 forward, like a Kadri or Coleman where they're playoff tested, but maybe not where they were at one point, that would definitely get me more excited about the Oilers. And yeah, just the goaltending. Again, like we say at every podcast episode, teams you can fix your goaltending on the fly. Colorado did it last year and it's worked out just fine for them. Why can you not do the same? And like it doesn't
Yeah.
even necessarily involve getting rid of Stuart Skinner. Like you're gonna have to get rid of one of Pickett or Skinner, but you can keep Skinner in the fold and just get another goalie.
Here's my thing. Mason Marchment was available for like a third and a fourth this year.
That would have been another great fit.
He would have been exactly what they needed in that middle six. Like, I'm tired of hearing the deal isn't out there. The deal's out there. You're not looking hard enough. And we've seen it
Yeah.
with Bowman. He likes talking to the 4 GMs that he likes making moves with. So he's not going out of his comfort zone, Edmonton. Just get ready.
And unfortunately, John Chayka and Jarmo Kekalainen aren't working anymore, pal. But in all fairness, most GMs are like that. They have their few friends that they talk to. So it's not just him, which is why I think that there's a lack of star or big trades because most NHL GMs don't want to go out of their comfort zone. It's always the same three. It's usually McCrimmon in Vegas, it is usually Breezeball in Tampa, and Zito in Florida.
Yeah, you just watch all the other contenders make moves with ease. The Oilers, it just feels like you're pulling teeth in the dentist chair to get them to do anything productive with a team that is so close. You'd think they'd be really trying to, I don't know. But they got Isaac Howard to be scratched. Get
Yay,
excited.
there
They'll
goes
play on
my
the fourth
Calder
line.
pick.
Poop.
Mangiapane's doing well, though. I think he's got a couple goals.
Yeah, he's like pretty good to start the year.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, that game they were up 3-0 and then just bloated. Did you see that goal where the puck was right at Stuart Skinner's pad and Evan Bouchard was right there, and then the player just like swoops in and scores on Calgary? Yeah,
Never change
yeah,
regular season Bouchard. Never change.
no. I feel like we're gonna get a lot of that with Artem Lev Shunov, just way too nonchalant. Where, again, most of the game probably positive contributions, but then there's just that one play like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, and I'm okay. Like, I dealt with it with Seth Jones for 5 years. I could deal with it with Lev Shinov.
That is very true. Um, I kind of referenced the article earlier, but the San Jose Sharks owner spoke out with an interview, and it was pretty interesting. Do you want to get into that? I don't like
Yeah,
I don't know what parts I want to take from it. I don't want to read the whole article, obviously, but there were some very interesting things from it.
he's not happy. That's for sure.
No, so I'll read some parts from it. This is from Xing Peng of San Jose Hockey Now, so definitely check this article out because it was very
Yeah, follow
interesting
him if
to
you want
read.
good Sharks content. He's great with the
Hmm.
Sharks.
And I think whenever an owner speaks out, it's one of those things where I love to see it because usually it's kind of irrational. Like I'll put it this way: I wouldn't want my owner speaking out, but just as looking from another team, I love this kind of stuff. So there's some interesting stuff about past moves the Sharks have made. I think they talk about the original Eric Carlson trade that brought him to San Jose and how Ottawa got Tim Stützle and Josh Norris out of it and how he regrets that trade. There was him extending Thomas Hurl, and then they kind of talk about the Sharks right now. So I'll read some parts from it. Okay. Plattner on Greer vision coming to fruition. He's very systematic. Biggest difference to the Wilson team, he and his team are drafting better. Good that the Greer team got the high picks, but they're drafting better. Before we wasted high draft picks, and I don't know what. I have to look them up. Whether anyone is playing in the NHL from those draft picks we wasted. Is Bordelot playing in the NHL? And they were labeled as the next big little thing. When I saw him, he was in love with the puck. A hockey team is a difficult group to build, but they work together and they don't play for show. Therefore, I'm so happy about celebrating how he can do everything, but he does everything possible for the other players, for his partners on the ice. I think you see this and you report this, and he is a leader. Plattner on if the decision to rebuild in 2022 is driven by him. That was actually my wish 5 years ago, and quote unquote, the previous team said that that's not there. EK65 was probably the last real try to keep the level of the Thorntons and Pavelskis. First, 1 star is not enough. Second, you know his qualities and you know his deficiencies. He was not the most, how do I say it, team friendly player. He was good, but he was probably very good in a very good team. Our good players already leaving the team or we let them go was not the right environment, and then Burnsy didn't like it so much, I think. So the team was already on the way down, and 1 star player cannot help. You need more. We needed someone who could score a goal, and we needed some defensemen. It was right to let even the relatively good players like Timo go. He's not a player you can build a team upon. You can put him in with a good team. And when Thomas came and said, Hasso, please let me go. I played 10 years for the San Jose Sharks. I did everything possible. I got 3 knee injuries. If I get one more, I'm done. I have only so many years. Let me go to a team where I have a chance to win this goddamn cup. And I said, Thomas, we'll let you go, which I regret because I really liked him and we always had fun together and joked. He always had a smile on his face. He was a good guy. Damn. Do you remember that story from I think I read it last year. I remember putting out a clip of it. It was after the Capitals lost in 2017 and Nick Backstrom requested a trade because didn't think he would get it done. This is kind of like the other end of it where 20 like Capitals owner Ted Leonsis kept Nick Backstrom and they went on and won. Whereas at this point, this owner seeing their team rebuilding is doing a favor for Thomas Hurdle to go and they trade him into a divisional rival and they eat some of his money, I believe, in that trade.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do the right thing for your players. You know, you give so much for your franchise. There's no reason to shaft them on the way out. I'm a pretty firm believer in that. You don't want to burn that bridge. And especially with Hurdle's case, he was such a great story for the Sharks for 10 years. You know, we thought for a long time that was one of the young pieces once upon a time that was going to put them over the top when they had Thornton, when they had Marlowe,
Almost
when they had
did.
Pavelski.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember his 4 goal game in New York when he was like, what, second year player or something, rookie.
That's
He was beast
right.
mode,
Right.
like in between the
Oh my
legs,
god.
just going berserk.
Yeah. I remember
You
that
know,
being a hot button topic. Oh, you can't do that. Young European kid in the NHL doing that? I don't think so.
exactly. Yeah, well, how much the league's changed in 10 years. Um, when we say the league sucks, it does, but it has changed a lot in the last 10 years, but it's still not enough. They're still light years behind other leagues, and that's why we're frustrated. But um, I wanted to bring up him talking about the young players and just his frustration with one not seeing him on the ice and whatnot. Like the last time I could think of like a GM or not a GM, an owner coming out and being visibly frustrated with his players. I remember Dallas did it in like
Oh
2018.
yes. What was it?
Like he
Holding
called out
up
Sagan
new
and Benn
players. Yeah.
immediately.
Mhm.
And this isn't the same in that regard. I feel like this is more calling out the coach and the GM for not playing
Management.
the
Yeah.
kids.
Hmm.
But that had an effect on the Stars. Like there's a definite timeline shift after the owner spoke out. The Stars really have never looked back since then. They've had 1 year when they missed the playoffs, which I believe was 2020 or 2021 when they had like 17 overtime
2021. The
losses. And
shortened
it was a
year.
shortened year. Yeah. So who
Yeah.
cares? And they've been Western perennial Central Division leaders ever since. Um,
Shooing to
that
make the
changed the
conference
way Jim
final.
Mills constructed the roster. That changed the way that they went about coaching for a long time. I think they brought in Jim Montgomery shortly after that. Um,
Hmm.
dude, like this should be a wake up call for the Sharks management core right now. Um, and yeah, maybe they're close. Like you said, they're 0-2. So maybe it just takes them maybe playing a little bit of defense and they win some hockey games and their goalie stays in his net with, a minute to go in the hockey game. But the last person you want to piss off is the guy who signs everyone's checks. And we're going to find out real quick if the Sharks have a hands-on owner or hands-off owner. And let's hope for Mike Greer's sake it's hands-off because I can't remember the last time an owner gets involved with moves and it goes well
It never does.
because they're irrational, and that's fine. We're
Mhm.
irrational. We're fans, and the owner's a fan at the end of the day. He should be, but
Owns the team. It's his
don't
whole
make
point. He
decisions
wants
if
it
you're
to grow.
irrational.
Mhm. Yeah.
$1 million decisions too at that.
Yeah, sometimes tens of millions of dollars, and now we're getting to the point hundreds of millions of dollars. And what like I always think of Vancouver comes first to mind with me with the owners, Francesco Aquilini, and how much I think he has his hands in the cookie jar, so to speak. I always think of what's his face in New York, James Dolan, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
I always think of him as well. Like the good owners we never hear of. I always think of but have heard of like Jeff Vinnick in Tampa Bay is a great owner and he treats all his staff very well, which is a good thing. I've heard the same of Bill Foley in Vegas, where he treats his staff very well. Like those guys don't care. Like they obviously want to make the money, but they want to do everything to win championship and make sure everyone is put in a place to succeed for that. So I pulled out this article from December 28th, 2018. This is from Sportsnet. On Friday, Dallas Stars CEO Jim Lights thrust his
There
two
it
best
is.
players into the spotlight when he publicly ripped captain Jamie Benn and leading scorer Tyler Seguin an expletive-filled rant. Lights' words tore through the hockey world, and 24 hours later, we're only just beginning to start through the potential damage he may have done to the organization and question what this could ultimately mean for the club going forward. First, the quotes. They are, it says expletive, but I believe the words were
Fucking
horseshit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Not good.
yeah,
Not good, in other
yeah,
words.
yeah. For a euphemism, not great. These guys are not good enough, Light said, singling out Ben and Sagan. They're not good enough for me. They're not good enough for the owner, and they're certainly not good enough for the general manager, Jim Nill, who I can't speak for, but it's not good enough for the job he's done. But we've had meeting after meeting after meeting. The accountability on the ice is not there. These guys were signed to big contracts because they were the third and sixth leading scorers in the National Hockey League over the past 5 years. They get their money. We expect them to not be outplayed every game we play in. And if they were as good as they've been in the past, we wouldn't be having this conversation. When asked about the comments on Saturday, Ben had this to say. I read the article, and it is what it is. People have their opinions on the outside, and all it really is noise. I think when there's a situation within the organization, I try to keep it within the organization and deal with it face to face. But that being said, I come to the rink every day and wear the Dallas Stars jersey proudly and play hard for the fans and my teammates in there. And yeah, 2019, they were one goal away from beating the eventual Cup champion St. Louis Blues. They went to the Cup final next year in 2020. Like we said, 2021, whatever. I feel if there was a year to miss the playoffs, that would be it. 2022 gave Calgary all they could out on the first round, and then the last
Oh, that
three
was such a
years.
good series. That was the
Mhm,
Ottinger coming out party, that series. I remember.
yeah.
He was so good that series.
And that was Johnny Gaudreau's moment too with that overtime goal.
Yeah, it was a great
And
series.
then, yeah,
Last
conference
really good year
final.
at Calgary, too, at that point, if we really think about it.
Yeah, yeah, and then they got beaten by the Oilers in the Battle of Alberta.
Baked by the Oilers. Holy smokes.
Mhm.
After game one, the Oilers were like, yeah, no, we're done with that.
Yeah, fuck this. Yeah. Won four in a row, but then we'll lose four in a row to Colorado. Yeah, I remember. And then, yeah, 3 years in a row, conference final, but you have lost to Vegas, Edmonton, and then Edmonton. But shit, like pretty impressive resume. I say so many times, Stars have done everything but win a cup, and they are very much in the position to. And they
They've lost to
finally
the
felt.
eventual Cup champ 5 times, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, 2019, 2020, 2023. Yeah, they've at least lost to the team that's gone to the cup final like 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm. But, the Blues had that happen a bunch, too, back in the day. It's not an excuse. But the point is, the reason I brought that up is because
Mm-hmm.
there was a clear
I just
shift in
wanted
the
to read that
franchise.
again.
There was a
Mm-hmm.
clear shift in the franchise, though, after that happened in the 2018-19 season. That was like Heiskanen's rookie year.
Yeah,
They started
that's
leaning on the
right.
young guns, though. They started leaning on the Rope Hanses. They started leaning on a guy like Jason Robertson, who came up in the system. They started bringing in guys like, Miro Heiskanen, Thomas Harley, Jake Ottinger. Like the Kings started to formulate around this team who already had a veteran core in place, so it's a little different than San Jose. But at the same
Mm,
time, it's a wake up call. I just think it's a wake up call, and hopefully it goes the right way for the Sharks. Obviously, they got a lot of leeway because they're not supposed to be good right now.
mhm.
Keaton Bearhoff looks very good right now in North Dakota. I would
There's a lot of
imagine,
right-handed defensemen they could use.
yeah, I would imagine they'd like a 6'4" right-handed shot on that back end. And he looks like he's probably there's people arguing he could go above McKenna in the draft this year. So there's real discussion about that, just because he's that dynamic of a right-handed defenseman, and those are not easy to come by unless you're the Blackhawks. So the future's still bright for the Sharks. I'm just curious if that leads to anything. That's all.
And you when we did our predictions and I guess hot takes the last episode, I remember a point you brought up, who's going to be the first head coach fired? I said Andrew Burnett for Nashville. That seems to be the easy one. An interesting one you brought up was their coach Ryan Warsofsky or whatever his name
Yep.
is. So I'm going to read some more from
His
this
name
article.
is.
We on average, I'll start from here. We got nearly everybody we wanted. We could not draft high picks because we were always finishing top 5. I think Doug Wilson Jr. did well. We on average over 10 years, we might have won the league. We made it to the finals. With a new team, I think we have a good chance that this team is as good or even better. I hope we don't have to go for McKenna. I just talked to the coach. No McKenna here now. And Mike said, absolutely not, absolutely not. I think we have enough. And if we bring up Musty and Chernyshov and Cardwell, then we have an excellent team we need. And then replacements for the aging defenseman to real star defenseman, that will be the main focus. San Jose is now more attractive when they look at the pictures of our youngsters and the write-ups you guys do or the other hockey writers. That's a pretty good team. I believe Misa will be good, and the defenseman Dickinson, he was so good that I was actually upset when he wasn't listed to play for today. But there's a reason for that, and I accept that. And in the end, the coach has to say what he wants and how we go. I see that as because he's talking to the GM, he is talking to the coach. If they don't get off to a good start and those guys aren't playing and aren't doing well, coach could get fired. I don't think they're going to fire Mike Greer. I think they got a lot of faith in Mike Greer, but like the coach is always the easy one to replace. So yeah, if they're continue this and not winning games and your young players aren't playing like you wanted them to and your owner's saying that, yeah, I think there might be a move made sooner than maybe expected for the head coaching.
Yeah. Also, like I like to hear that the Sharks know they have depth at forward, so they want defensemen, and it really just makes me want to see because New Jersey's looking good right now. They're going to have to make a decision on that back end at some point. And if I'm San Jose, you've already had history with Tom Fitzgerald, with the Timo
Mm-hmm.
Meyer trade and Mike Greer.
Yeah.
I'd call him back up and try to get like a Dougie Hamilton or someone off them. Or if they're not going to sign Simone Nemec, get on the phone. Just get on the phone immediately because if they can get a legit right-handed shot on that prospect pool, that team's going to be so good. Like Cheryshev, incredible. He has great chemistry with Misa already. Cardwell is an underrated prospect. He's right there. I mean, you know how high I've been on Musty since he was draft year. He's incredible. He's going to be a legit, like he has Matt Nye's potential at power forward, I think. Especially for a team that lacks size like San Jose. Like put him with a Will Smith. Oh my God, that's going to be electric.
Mm-hmm.
They just need help on the back end. And I think you have the capital to go get that. You also might need help in goal too, but it's early.
Yeah. Go wait out, see how Askarov pans out, and if New Jersey is even like, oh, we're gonna keep that whole right side. What about a Seamus Casey? Yeah, there's definitely options for San Jose, and there's gonna be defensemen out there.
100%.
Yep.
And this is probably the fun part if you're Mike Greer. Get creative. I hope Kyle Davidson kind of gets that wake up call eventually too. You have a plethora of tools to go get someone.
No team don't want young NHL defensemen. That would be impossible to do.
Like, I'd like to see these young teams that have the core starting to build make a splash. Not saying drop a boulder in the water, but I overthrew my baseball and it made a big splash in the water. Like, do something like that. No one needs the boulder falling over. Just a nice little rock, something. The Snoopy meme. Do something. That's how I feel with Kyle Davidson and Mike Greer. Mike Greer
Or
for the
like
back end, Kyle Davidson for the forwards. Make some shake. I guess you got to wait for teams to start wanting to blow things up. So American Thanksgiving, start making things shake.
yes.
That was
Hmm.
right around when Stan Bowman would every year, and it worked out pretty good sometimes. That's right around
Yeah.
the time when teams want to make bad decisions. Be on the good side.
Yeah. That will certainly be the threshold because, yeah, when you bring up Stan Bowman, I think that would have been around the time he made the Schmaltz for Strom swap. Like, I think it was before American Thanksgiving.
No, it was right after.
Um, right after, I can't remember, but yeah, like it was around that time. And I think last year, David Yurchek being traded, I think that would have been after American Thanksgiving too, or around that time. Like, I think that is because no one's gonna want to make trades right now. I think a lot of the extensions and signings are being done right now, but I don't think trades will get done
Yeah,
for
people
maybe
still
another
trust
month
their
and a
guys.
half. Hmm.
You have to.
Yeah, no, yeah, in all fairness, like you can't just make a trade right
3
now
games in.
and yeah, and we do rant about Kyle Davidson, but yeah, you're not going to be able to solve offensive problems in a trade right now. You do have to let it ride out for maybe 6 weeks, and then maybe you do something. I don't
Listen,
know, but yeah,
to be fair, the criticism towards Kyle Davidson's towards the offseason. It's not towards right now. Obviously, you got to
hmm
let right now get like you and I have both said probably Christmas is the time when you have to really analyze this roster and see where we're at. But for now, it's you could have done something in the offseason. That's where
yeah,
my
yeah,
frustration comes in.
hmm
Like every offseason, there are moves to be made. I don't know. And I feel like with a lot of these teams, it's the same thing. And we have to wait. We have to wait to see, how antsy some of these GMs get.
yeah. That's kind of to your point. Like it's hard to just make trades on the fly mid-season. Like off season is when you're supposed to get all those moves done. Like even the trade deadline. Um, to kind of wrap up the article again, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Although there's a lot of like his relationship with
It's a
Mike
great
Greer
read.
and some of the old manager. Yeah, definitely read it. Last point, just as an interesting tidbit, Plattner on the story of trying to sign Evgeny Malkin. I gave a speech here and I said, so we are strong now that we should even be attractive to a Malkin. And oh, everyone said 6 years ago, and there was, what is this term called? Tampering? You should not be tampering. The NHL said, Malkin is a good player. I got a slap on my wrist, and it was because he was becoming a free agent. So I'm gonna guess that would have been 2022 when he was gonna go to the market. Maybe I don't know. I can't. It doesn't specify, but I don't know how long he's been the owner for the Sharks. But the Sharks have made big moves over the years. So this is a guy that clearly.
Traded Carlson twice.
Mm-hmm.
Or
So this
been a
is a
part of a
guy who
Carlson
wants,
trade twice.
yeah, wants to make moves, but also like in a fan kind of way regrets the moves because I think also he regrets the Eric Carlson trade and how they gave up basically Tim Stutzla and Josh Norris as well, even though he has been injured and can't stay healthy. So maybe not so much, but yeah, it's like I said off the top, it's one of those things you don't really want to hear your owner talk, but when it's someone else's owner, hell yeah.
Exactly. Always like some good juicy storytelling, but
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to see an owner be a little transparent when most of them, will sit the, you know, you won't hear from, which is probably what you want, like you said. You don't want a Eugene Melnick situation. Rest in
Not really,
peace.
no.
But yeah, that's all I got on that. I'm excited to see what the Sharks do this year. Clearly, they're going to play exciting hockey from what we've seen, or at
Yeah.
least it's probably the most drunk beer league hockey you've ever seen. But it's going to be entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we thought the Blackhawks games were chaotic. Like this is another level. It very much it is beer league hockey with the games they've been playing.
It's crazy, bro. Like,
And back to the point of team, I wish that teams with a good prospect pool would make more moves. I just think of Detroit a lot. They have so much there, Make a move, man. Stevie Y, do something for me. Do something for your fans in Detroit.
Make something shake.
Hmm.
That's all we're asking.
Yeah.
Oh, we got John Gibson. That's not enough.
I mean, you would have been better off just keeping Peter Mrazek, but
I don't know about that. You see him
with
last
that
night?
with that one start. But again, it's early. They did lose their first game. Todd McClellan was frustrated, but then they beat the Leafs. That's all that matters.
Hell yeah.
If I may, if I may, I would like to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays beating the Yankees lose.
The Yankees lose.
Also, did you see or at least see that the Mariners and Tigers went to a 15 game?
It's
As
never
a
easy with the Mariners.
no, there's just something about them going to late inning games that they played 18 innings against the Astros 3 years ago and lost 1-0. I can't imagine like that would be losing a game in 5 overtimes 1-0. That would be, I guess, the hockey
Oh,
equivalent
it'd be a
for it. But
heartbreaker. Oh God.
mhm. I guess like the closest game in NHL would be the Columbus and Tampa Bay 5 overtime game that was played in the bubble. Like I would just be heartbroken after that if my team lost that. That's why I'm so glad the Hawks never lost in those double overtime games. At least when they lost in overtime, it's like, oh, at least they got it done over with. If you drag this into double overtime and triple overtime, you best be winning those games. Um, but yeah, the Mariners and Tigers played 15 innings. I think there was like twice where the Mariners grounded into a double play. And it's like, man, this game is never going to end. But as a Blue Jays fan, I love it because winner take all game, you're doing everything you can. The Mariners, I think, used 3 of their starting pitchers, and now they have to use one of their other starting pitchers on short day of rest. So best case scenario for them. And now they play them tonight, and they have home field advantage as well. And yeah, beating the New York Yankees, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to to like the Astros have whooped their ass the past decade. It feels like the Red Sox have had their number, even though they lost or they did beat them in the wild card round. But now it's part to be in on the fun and because the Blue Jays have kind of just been the little brother of the Yankees. They had never played in the playoffs against each other up to that point because it's basically just been the Yankees and the Red Sox running the AL East for like the past 25-30 years. So yeah, won the first 2 games in Toronto, just destroyed them offensively. Game 3, they went up 6-1, blew that game, and I'm like, and then you kind of get into doom thinking, like, oh, here we go. Blew a 6-1 lead, and now you got a bullpen game tomorrow against a team that just hit 9 runs off your bullpen, basically the game before. But no, they score early again, 1-0. Bullpen was able to lock it down, only 2 runs against the best offense in baseball, and they were able to come through in the late innings. So yeah, Aaron Judge finally had his moment, like crazy home run, basically a foot inside off the plate, and he just like is able to like hack it to the foul pole. Like I can't even be mad. That was impressive. But now it's like, oh, that home run doesn't even matter because the New York Yankees only won 1 game. So yeah, glad to be moving on. And I think if you're just a baseball fan in general, it's a breath of fresh air in the ALCS because Mariners are the only team that have never been to a World Series in MLB. So if they win, that'll be their first trip to World Series. Blue Jays haven't gone to the World Series since '93. And then in the National League, I think Milwaukee has never won a World Series, and then the Dodgers are the Dodgers. So other than the Dodgers, there is going to be a new fresh champion, which I think is cool to see. But as a Blue Jay fan, beat the New York Yankees, and now time to go get revenge for a team that beat you 3 years ago, especially after blowing an 8-1 lead. And I think they are equipped to do it.
Yeah. I I'm gonna see someone come out happy after the series. Like
Yeah, that's right.
my
That's
brother
right.
and family are huge Mariner fans. So
Did they go to any of the games?
they did. They went to the it was one of the losses against the Tigers, but they were at it. It was the one.
Oh, then that would have been. I think that would have been game 1 because I think that was the only one they lost at home, which was also an extra innings. I think it was
Mhm.
11-12 they went.
Yeah, it was the one where they lost in 11, I'm pretty sure. But,
Mhm.
yeah, they went to one of the games, and they were there with, the littlest one, Cora, so you could see, like, I think one of the home runs, you can see Brian there with the baby. It's pretty funny. But, yeah, so the series should be good. I don't want the NL to win. It's
No,
Hitler and Stalin in the other
me
one,
either.
so let's just have it be the Blue Jays or the Mariners, please.
Yeah, and I
Just
think the
not the
Mariners
Dodgers, honestly. Just
yeah, Brewers I can live with.
the super team can
Um,
die, honestly. The Brewers would be
yeah.
funny just because the Cubs would just have to sit there and be like, what do we do? Like, we took their coach
Listen,
and they just still win the World Series.
yeah, listen, I know there's a lot of Blackhawks fans that listen to this and obviously and hence mostly Cubs fans, but if
We
I
could,
were to pick the most annoying Chicago sports fans, it would probably be Cubs fans. Just saying. Just saying. I mean, it was awesome they won in 2016. Like I was definitely cheering for the Cubs, but yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
yeah, you could dunk on the White Sox. I dunk on them more than anyone. They're tire fire. That's why I love talking baseball. It's like, you can't hurt me. My team fucking sucks.
Man,
I
you
already
got
know that.
you got 2005.
I do. I remember that when I was 7. We'll always remember Jose Abreu's bubble MVP.
Let's go.
Fuck the Athletics, bro.
That's crazy. The Athletics, dude. You got beat by a team that isn't even in the city that they were when they beat you in
Dude,
anymore.
they got beat by them and the Astros. Ugh, no fun.
The
Oh
Astros
well.
is tough though.
Yeah, they got
That would have
smoked.
been. I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, from pure narrative, like Mariners a very good baseball team, but also you had trouble beating the Detroit Tigers. Like it took till the 15th inning of Game 5. I'll say it. I like the Blue Jays' chances in this series. I will say that because they beat, I think,
Oh,
a better team and they have more rest. With that being said, like Blue Jays got to win this game. If you lose this game to a starter that's on short rest and their bullpen and is taxed, that's tough. So you got to back it up and win tonight.
hell yeah.
Anyways, that's all I got for the podcast. Do you have anything else, or we can wrap this show up? Not right now, but in a few hours, I'll be feasting on some Thanksgiving dinner, so I am very much looking forward to that.
Eating on some supper. Get
Yeah.
excited.
Yes, sir. It'll be mainly mashed potatoes and gravy. I think we're having some honey glazed ham and some turkey. So yeah, I know we're gonna be eating good tonight and for the next few days.
Also, shout out Justin Fields, who had negative passing yards today against the Denver Broncos. Yikes. That's not good,
Yeah, yeah. Go feel.
dude. Not good. Not good.
Any Bears updates or they haven't played for a week?
Ugh,
They play
I'm
tomorrow,
playing
right?
God, I'm playing a drinking game Monday. Every time I have to watch the fuck ass Hail Mary against the Commanders because that's who they're playing on Monday. I'm taking a sip of my drink and I am going over on 30 times. They're gonna show that fucking video and I'm gonna lose my mind. Because when they played the Eagles the next year after the double doink, they showed the double doink a million fucking times. So I'm gonna
Dude,
relive trauma blocked out in my brain for 3 hours on Monday night. Can't wait. And if they win, eternal happiness. They're going to win 5 of their next 6. But if they lose, lol.
blow Bears.
Yeah,
What is with
exactly.
this fuck ass scheduling for the
Yeah.
NHL? Like,
Oh,
what
they
was it,
suck.
50?
Oh, yeah. Also, we didn't even talk about that. NHL is the worst league ever. 4 days into the season, and there's no games on a Friday night. Who actually
And
makes the
then
schedule?
one game today. Okay, I get
But
it
we
for a
have to do
Sunday.
condensed scheduling, guys. Remember
Yeah.
what condensed scheduling? Whatever. I am
So
confused.
unfortunately, last week our predictions of how the Blackhawks would go didn't go great. This week they play the Mammoth on Monday. On the Wednesday they play the Blues. On my birthday on Friday they play the Canucks, And then if this thing would load, I wish I could see if they play any other games.
They play the Canucks and the
And
Blues
then
this week.
yeah, and then they play the Ducks on Sunday. So that's 4 games. How are we feeling? What do we think is going to happen in this week? I'm going to go reverse
Ah,
jinx and hopefully I'm going to say one. No, you know what? No, I'm going to do 1, 2, and 1. They go 1, 2, and 1 this week.
I'm being positive. They're going 3-1.
Yeah,
I
let's
think they're going to figure it out.
go. Even if there's a middle ground, I'd be happy with 2 and 2. All I ask, just win on my birthday.
Yeah,
That
please
is.
do. Also, freaking, let's get Spencer Knight a shutout this week or this season.
Dude, they didn't have a shutout at all last year. It would be nice to. It'd be nice to be seeing a
Dude, he's
shutout.
been locked in. Same with Soderblom. Soderblom was great against Boston.
Oh,
So
he made some crazy saves that game. That was definitely not his fault. Like that game they lost against the Bruins. I was okay with it because I'm like, oh, that's hockey game. They had all those chances and then they come back and score on the one chance they got.
hell yeah.
I was gonna say something else, but I don't remember. It's probably a sign for us to wrap the podcast up right here. We're almost at an hour and a half anyways. So yeah. Thank you for tuning in. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever else, be sure to give us a 5-star rating. If you're watching our beautiful, gorgeous, sexy faces on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the video podcasts or any of the video clips that come from the podcast in case you want to watch condensed part from the podcast and don't want to sit through an hour and a half of these things. So yeah, for Pierce and Dylan, take it easy, y'all. Once again, to my fellow Canadians, happy Thanksgiving, and let's go Blue Jays. Woo!